Okay. All right. Here we are. Welcome back. The name is still Jeremy. Today we are gonna rewrite a couple of algorithms in Rust. Our base, our goal, I suppose, is still to write the find char in set, find char not in set, and our find char not in set functions. It's not that easy, so we are gonna start by writing a Rust function that does almost the same, just so we can focus on the algorithms involved. So the algorithm involved is pretty easy to understand, even though it's pretty old school C, I suppose, or old school C++ here. It actually takes, let's say that's a pointer to a character and a pointer to another one, which are going to be the limits of a string, and a set. A set, which is another string, which is going to be all the letters we are going to be looking for. It's going to make more sense just later, okay? I'm going to write an example right now to make sure that you all get it. Let's pretend I have a string that is here. That would be, do I have something I can write with? Yeah, I have. So here, let's pretend I have a string that is hello. Okay, I'm just gonna remove that. Hello, world. We are gonna have two pointers. The first one, which would be either, and the last one, which would point maybe to the end of the string, maybe earlier somewhere, stop. And we are gonna need something else, which is the set. Now the set is a set of strings, of characters that we are going to be looking for. Like for example, R, S, T, U, V. So for each letter that we can see, we are going to try to find for each letter in the sentence, we are going to try to find the first letter that is actually in the set that we have just seen here. Okay, so for example, if I want to run it myself, let's pretend I'm the C++ program. I'm going to go to the H, try to see if it's part of the set. Well, it's not. Then I'm going to go to the E and the L, O space W O, and then I'm going to end up with the R, which is here, and I'm going to see that it's part of the set. So this is what I'm going to return. I'm going to return the first character that's in the set. Okay, so we now know how it's supposed to behave, and we have a small idea of how we are going to proceed. We want to iterate through the letters here and there and there and there and there and there. And for each of the letters, we want to check if they are part of the set. So we want to iterate twice, which is the reason why you can see on the internet page, while there's a double for loop, the first one iterates over the sentence and the second one iterates over the character set. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to try to write it in Rust. I have actually created a char in set file, as you can see here, and I have added it here to the lib.rs, so I get the nice linting and this kind of stuff. Okay, so right now I'm gonna start as usual by writing the test. So I'm gonna create a test char in set hello world. There you are. And okay, this is not the correct character anyways. And now I'm writing some JavaScript. Let's just close this parenthesis right now. Okay, that's better. And I'm gonna create a sentence, which is hello world. I'm gonna create a character set. And I said it was something like RSTUV. I'm gonna create an expectation equals that's gonna be R. The first character in this set, in the sentence that is part of the set is the R, because it's not the H, it's not the E, it's not the L, it's not the O, it's the R, which is here. So the expected result will be R, and I'm gonna let actual result equals find char in set, and I'm gonna call it with my sentence and my character set. Okay, and once I'm done with that, I want to assert that the expected result is the actual result. All right, so now the compiler is going to complain because there is no find char in set function that takes two strs. So let's write it. We are gonna pub fn. I'm just writing the pub because I want to make sure I don't get any warnings because the code is not used. Pub fn find char in set, which is a function that takes a sentence, which is a reference to a string, to a str, and a char set, which is another reference to a str. And that returns a character, as I've defined it just now. And now the compiler complains because this here does not return anything for now. Okay? Oh, and there's something I forgot. Use super. So that's in order for my test to be able to invoke the functions that are up here. So here, it's complaining because there is no return char. Let's say that it's an A, and the compiler won't complain anymore. The compiler won't complain anymore, but the tests are gonna fail. I got an A instead of a R, which is good. So now we are gonna try to write the to implement the algorithms that we actually figured out earlier, which is actually pretty easy. We are gonna iterate over the sentence. Oh, I want to show you the bugs that you would get if you would just for s in sentence. Now he's saying that, you see, the compiler helps me with that. It's saying there's no iterator in str. It's not an iterator. Maybe you want to invoke sentence.char or sentence.bytes. What we actually want is iterate over the chars. So that's good. And then, so this is the first part of the algorithms. The algorithm, iterate over the sentence, check if the character is in the set. So this is the comment. So this is what I'm going to try to implement. If it is a comment, it can probably be a function. So if is in set, we'll take my character and the character set. If that's the case, we want to return it. And if we are done iterating through it, oh, that's a good question. What do we do if we did not find a character? Well, I suppose the most idiomatic way would be to return an option of a char. If we return an option of a char, that means here I can return some s. And if I iterated through the sentence and nothing happened, I'm gonna return none. How does it go? Okay, it goes pretty well. There is no isInSet function. but that's no big deal. I'm gonna create it. Is in set. Is in set is a function that takes a character and a character set, and that will return a boolean. As you can see, I'm going from the outside to the inside. I first wrote a test which allowed me to create a function, then I wrote comments about the way I wanted to proceed, and once I have written that, I can just dive always deeper until I am done writing all the functions and the logic. I could have, of course, written everything as a single function, but this is definitely not something I want to do because the function is not going to be as readable as it could be, and it's not going to be reusable, and we are going to figure that out soon. So isInSet is a function that does the same thing. It actually iterates over the character set for CS. I hate this name. For character. Let's current char in character set. For each of these characters, I want to check if this character is the current chart. Oh, there's a typo here. I want to check for each character in the set if the current character is the one I'm looking for. So if we have the same letter in the sentence and or in the set, I want to return true. If I have not, if I'm done iterating and I haven't found any character in the set, then the character is not in the set. Okay. Again, same mistake. The compiler helps me out with that. I don't want char indices. I want chars. And there's probably going to be another error. No other error. Oh, wow. Yeah, char is copy, so it's okay. All right, I think we are pretty good. Now it's complaining down here because the return type of find char in set is now an option. It's not a char, it's an option. So there are several ways to go about it. I could actually do something like if let some char in set equals find char in set. That would allow me to open braces and do something char in set with char in set, you see. But that's not what I want to do. Actually, the test is something that is supposed to fail or to panic if it did not go well. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to unwrap it. I am allowed to unwrap it here because this part of the code is supposed to panic if something goes wrong. You don't want to do that in your actual running code. Okay? So what we're going to do now is run cargo test, and it actually worked. Okay? I tried to record this video a couple of minutes ago, and something very interesting occurred. So I am gonna make the same mistake as before, so you can see exactly what happened and what we actually did to debug it. Okay? So we are now supposed to write more tests about the find char in set, but let's do that later. I want to show you about the next method, which is find char not in set. So the find char not in set is here with a couple of ifs and a goto. As its name suggests, does the opposite as find char in set, in that sense that it actually iterates through all the characters in a sentence, and if one of the characters does not belong or is not in the given set, it is going to return it. If not, nothing's going to happen. Well, that's a little more complicated. We are just going to return the iterator. But yeah, basically what's happening is that it's going to try to figure out if there is a character in a sentence that is not in the set. So here's what I did. Oh, here's what I did, and here's what came out with it. Find char not in set, and I'm gonna edit the strings because we actually need a character set, and it's supposed to be almost the same as the sentence. So I'm gonna remove the L. So the character that is not in the set is supposed to be L. And I'm gonna try to find the find char not in set. Okay, the find char not in set is gonna behave almost like the find char in set. There's actually just one difference, but we are gonna debug it and figure it out. Okay, so we are gonna iterate over the sentence and check if the character is not in the set. So here, this would actually panic. That's what happens right now. It just panicked. So I'm gonna cargo test so you can all see that. It's failing because, yeah, I'm supposed to find an H and I actually find an L and I actually return an H. As you can see here, there's something wrong because I am not supposed to return if the character is in the set, but if it's not in the set. Okay, so this is supposed to behave better, but it actually does not. And now is the interesting part. So we called option unwrap on a non-value. So the unwrap is here. The non-value is probably here, which we are going to see in debug. If you don't know how to debug, by the way, the first video of this series explains all about the toolings, and the second video explains about how to set up debugging on Visual Studio Code. So you might want to have a look at it. So now I am on a non-value, which is pretty weird because I removed a letter. You see? So there are several ways to go about it, like setting up debug, trying to figure out what's going on. And there are two ways one could have found what's going on. The way I found out what is going on is I basically here added some debug statements. I suppose some of y'all already know what's happening, but for the hell of it, I'm just gonna write some debug and run the cargo test again. So here is how I figured out what's happening. Here we are iterating through each character in the sentence and trying to figure out what is going on. So what is going on? The first one is H. So we are comparing H against H. Okay. We are comparing E against H and then against E. And we keep on comparing stuff. Now, the stupid thing I've made can be seen here. Actually, I am having else before. I'm gonna say it again. There is the hello world sentence, and the character set is hello world. So there are else already in the sentence, so it's never gonna work. Okay? So basically, I should have picked a better test and test it against something that is actually supposed to work. You want to have a look at it. Sometimes the code is broken, sometimes your tests are. So here I just replaced hello world with hello world and it works as intended. Okay? So very important, you want to double check your test. Actually here the character set could have been hell WOD or something like this because it's the same set anyways. All right. Now we have tests that pass, and for the hell of it, I would like to have a look at the last version of the find char not in set. This is the R find char not in set, where we are iterating through from the stop to the iter. So we are actually working our way backwards. How do we do that? Well, there are several ways to do this. The easiest way would probably be to copy paste uh, our find chart not set. I think this here is a chars, and chars probably have a rev. Now, what is this rev? It reverses an iterator's direction. Usually iterators iterate from left to right, and after using rev, an iterator will instead iterate from right to left, which is actually pretty convenient. So what we're going to do here is iterate from the right to the left and see how it goes. One way for us to figure it out is to actually debug it, debug s, to make sure our char not in set hello world, make sure that it's gonna iterate from the exclamation mark to the h, and the way I'm just gonna remove the h from the set. See how it goes. It went pretty well. I'm just gonna mess it up to make sure to just print the debug statements. Did I? Oh, I did not call the right function here. There you go. As you can see, we are iterating in reverse order. So that might be a way for us to be able to implement the correct API that would allow us to interoperate with the C++ code. Let's wrap it up. So here are the things that we have seen. We have been doing some basic algorithms with, oh, there might be something a bit cooler to do. That would be something like this. Let's see if it works. What I actually want to do with our find char not in set, I want to actually do a find char not in set with the reversed version of the sentence. I'm not really sure it will work. Collect can take blah blah, anything iterable. There's probably a way from me to just to make a string out of an array of characters. Let's see if I can do that. I'm gonna collect it, definitely, and then it's gonna complain, I suppose. Collect into what? I want to collect it into star. Am I able to do that? Okay, let's spend a couple of minutes and see through the documentation of chars. So I'm going back to the char type. What I am doing, what I'm doing with chars is here, and I want to make sure or check if I can actually collect it. Is there a way I have an iterator? Is there a way for me to go back from char to collect? Chars collect, that would be a vec of char. Okay, vec of char, vec of char. I'm not really sure I can do this. So yeah, a collection of type and stir cannot be built from chars. Yeah, I don't know. I need to double check that. I probably can collect and then into, maybe, I don't really know. There must be a way for me to, there would be a vec of char Is there a way? Oh, and the into? It's hard for to go from a vec of char to an ampersand stir. I'll figure it out. It's not too hard. So you might get the response in the next video. Anyways, that would allow us to have even smaller functions and work our way work in a smart way to leverage what we have seen in the previous functions to make it better. Okay, so let's wrap it up. We have, oh, there's still an error here somewhere. Yeah, that's an H here. Okay, so we have written an isn't set helper, which we are invoking everywhere. And there is a find char inset and a find char not inset that does almost the same. And the R find char not inset is actually a find char not inset for a reversed sentence. So there is definitely some way to reverse the string. I don't know exactly which way it is, but I'm gonna have a look at the stir API and figure it out. You'll probably see the answer in the next video. If you have found the answer, don't hesitate. Send a comment or send me a DM on Twitter or something. If you liked the video or if you have any suggestion or yeah, if you want to tell me anything, don't hesitate. Please leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, and let me know how it goes. Thank you very much. I hope to see you soon.